everyone, this is Charmaine, Chief Digital Marketing Officer at Sky Digital Agency, and today I'd like to talk about branding. So I have two questions for you. They may sound familiar or they may sound similar, but I would like to give you an example to help you understand what are the differences and how can you brand and position yourself in the market today to appeal to your best customers. So the first question here is, what is branding? The second question is, what is brand positioning? So if you've heard of these terms before or you think that, hey, this is too similar, I'd like you now to think about your next holiday. And in your next holiday, when you're about to book your air ticket, which airline will you choose? So, of course, I can only list out, or I am only listing out 6 airlines here in my slides today, but feel free to drop a comment if there's an airline that you would definitely go for, no questions asked, and share with me why you would actually go for this airline. The first 3 options are Singapore Airlines, Emirates, and China Airlines. Now, if I were to share with you truthfully, of course, I would always prefer to fly with Singapore Airlines. But the truth here is that many a times Singapore Airlines might be a bit more of a premium pricing, especially if you book on quite a last minute basis. So now the question here is, if there is a very small difference between Singapore Airlines and Emirates and Singapore Airlines with China Airlines, would you choose Singapore Airlines? Or what is the biggest difference that it can be before you decide to choose, right? I give you an example. Singapore Airlines flies direct to New York. And many airlines would actually do a stopover. For some people, they prefer stopovers. For some, they do not prefer stopovers. They prefer to fly direct. So now here the question is, who can fly direct? And not many airlines can fly direct from Singapore all the way to New York. But of course, in a few years' time, there will be airlines that can compete in the space for the longest haul flights. The second question here is, let's think about it realistically. If you have flew China Airlines before, China Airlines is not by China, it's by Taiwan, you would know that in China Airlines, you can only check in 1 luggage and the maximum weight for the luggage is 23 kg. Now, if you have flown Singapore Airlines before, you would know that the maximum weight is 30 kg. If it's a very short haul flights, for example, Bangkok, etc., it might be 20 kg for your flight, or Bali, Phuket. The key thing here is in that 30 kg, you can check in as many luggage as you like, as you want. So if I have 3 luggage, 10 kg each, I can check in 3 luggage with SQ. So these are some considerations I would have when I book my air ticket. So if I know that, hey, it's a short trip, 7 days, is summer, 23 kg, no problem, $100 saving, $200 saving on the ticket, I would go with China Airlines instead of SQ. The next question here is, what about Cathay Pacific? Cathay Pacific is a little bit more interesting because I think that a lot of business people actually would like to stop over Cathay Pacific, especially if they are flying in from somewhere else. They don't mind having a stopover at Hong Kong. And if you fly with Cathay Pacific, it's a free stopover for you. You could kind of try to arrange it in a way whereby the stopover is more than a day or 2-3 days. So these are some reasons why I think I would choose to fly by Cathay Pacific if I'm flying to Taiwan or China, or maybe even US and long-haul flight to Europe. If I would like to swing by Hong Kong to visit friends or just to enjoy a very good Cantonese dim sum. Now let's talk about Scoot and Jetstar. It's a little bit more unique because they are actually more of the budget carrier. So I would say that pre-COVID, I would actually be choosing Jetstar in many ways. So pre-COVID, I would actually be choosing Jetstar for a lot of my flights to Taiwan, to Okinawa, to different parts of Japan, including, I think, Osaka. But now, because of COVID, they have not resumed their flights to a lot of these countries. Their flights now are limited. But between Jetstar and Scoot, which is the budget airline carrier you would choose if they are priced the same? And pre-COVID, if you remember, they have a price beat guarantee brand promise. So if you found an airline with a similar, I think the buffer is about an hour of flight time, whether you depart or arrive back, they would actually beat the price by 10%. And I would say that a lot of their flight timings are relatively very preferable on my end when I fly with Jetstar. Now with Scoot, Scoot is a little bit unique. I think they have kind of positioned themselves differently right now. SQ is also pushing a lot of the short haul flights over to Scoot. So you would usually not see SQ fly the same route. and Scoot is the one actually doing those short haul flights, for example, to Taiwan and many ASEAN. Scoot has positioned themselves differently, partly because of being a sister company of SQ. But now the question I'd like to ask you is, what was your experience like booking your air ticket with Scoot? For me, I didn't have a very good experience. I don't book Scoot that often. When I was booking budget flights pre-COVID, typically Jetstar tickets were much cheaper, and I think their luggage were cheaper than Scoot. I always felt that the baggage that you buy as an add-on with Scoot is so much more expensive. But I think right now they've adjusted the price, but that being said, it is not very user-friendly in terms of their user experience on their website to book a flight with baggage. So if you just book a flight without baggage, I think it's quite straightforward. So what they do is that they automatically assume everyone wants the same amount of baggage. So they would actually use the same amount. If you selected 25 kg will be applied to everyone. If I select the first passenger as 20 kg, no baggage, and the last passenger as 35, they would actually apply 35 kg to everyone unless you uncheck a certain option. So personally, I don't have a very good experience with Scoot because I think it was very difficult to just be able to speak to them and even ask them to get a refund and adjust the luggage back to my original preference. That being said, that is a lot about what your brand promise is and whether you can deliver on your brand promise. And we know that SQ now has rebranded and came out with a new brand promise that is world class. Not even first class, it's world class. So if you think back to the two questions that I just shared with you, which is what is branding and what is brand positioning, think of branding as what you want to be remembered for. You can think of 3 keywords. Okay, so I think for SQ is world class, dependable, it's safe, because there's not a lot of accidents if we want to think about that. But I also think that it's a very safe airline because I can depend on them to refund me my money. A lot of airlines actually give you a credit, which personally I don't really prefer having a credit because there's an expiry date to the credit as well. So these are many things, I think, how your customers, how your audiences actually see you and how they experience your brand. If you think about this, how would you like people to experience having to converse with you, your colleagues, with your brand, with your product, with your service, and how are you going to stand out from competition? How are you going to stand out from the crowd? That is your positioning. You might have the same clientele base with some of your competitors, but how can you differentiate yourself from competition? So that's a question to ask yourself. How are you going to position yourself? How are you different? What would make your customers prefer you to your competitors? That's all from me today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you would actually be able to think through these questions, and if you are attending any of my digital marketing workshops, try to think of at least 3 things you would like your customers to know you for and how you would actually position yourself differently compared to your competitors in the market. You can actually find some of your competitors, either their social media handles if you're self-employed, insurance or property agent, or if you're a small business owner, find 3 businesses that are of the same category and level as you. For example, you have 3 employees. That company should have about 3 to 5 employees. They can't have like 10, 20, 40 employees, 100 employees. Their brand positioning would be different compared to you as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. If this video has been helpful, do remember to like it. Do remember to subscribe for more videos like this, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.